this week's Chatterbox. It's Tofu here. We have Jeff Saylor and Stuck Pixel with us today.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, how you going?
You know, today's been a really good day. I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked.
Oh,
Really good.
that's fantastic. I am also in a great mood for a change, and I feel like things are starting to roll along in a lot of different things. So I am looking forward to this episode of Chatterbox.
Hang on. I just had to put the cat outside. Well, out the back room anyway. Okay. So I just want to, before we get into today's topics, I do want to cover housekeeping very quickly. Could please everyone that's here, please mute themselves when not talking. We don't also allow sound effects. We don't want to talk about price either. Please be respectful of the Vox team. They are giving up their time to be here. We are recording Chatterbox and putting it onto YouTube, so please like and subscribe. Now, if you do want to ask questions, you can turn your voice on and ask at the suitable time, or you can type into the Chatterbox chat window. There's an icon in the top right-hand corner within Chatterbox, and you can type your questions there. We will also be posting any links or images there as well for people. So we have Stuck Pixel here. What we're going to talk about first is the recent sprint. So what have the team been working on?
Yeah. So the team has been going crazy, collecting all the feedback and fixing it from alpha testers. It has been absolutely amazing the amount of feedback and issues discovered and little things and what ifs. It's a mountain of things that we're going through. That's been a major part of this last sprint, as well as crafting. We're wrapping up crafting. We have all the game systems in. We're doing a little bit of UI tweak. Um, so it's rolling along, man. Those are the two major things. Oh, and based on some internal feedback we got, we're adding an account leveling system. So not only will Vox, Protovox, robots, etc. level up, but you as the player controller will also have an account level. That'll allow us to do some pretty cool things. So that's another big feature that's coming soon to the alphas.
So why was that decision made? That's obviously quite different, having an account level as well.
That kind of,
So
excuse me, that kind of sounds like the old Townstar power we had.
kind of, but not really. So the reason why it was built in is that we needed some way to control crafting a bit. Um, we obviously don't want people rolling in, especially Odyssey people who are getting all the resources or a percent of them, whatever it comes out to be. Um, Still unclear at the moment. But having them roll in with, a million wood and being able to craft everything possible, right? We still want to add some gameplay systems. We still want some a little bit of grind, not a ton of grind, but a little bit of grind. So
Yeah,
that's why we have account level.
that's a good point. And for the people that have been grinding on Odyssey for a year, 2 years, however long it's been, yeah, that they've got a lot of
Yeah,
these collected resources, and of course want
yeah,
them to have value in the game. So
yep.
I can see that.
It's we want them to experience this game, right? They they played Odyssey, they're going to get their rewards. They've earned it totally. But we still want them to experience what this game has to offer, not just roll in and be at the end game.
Got it. So the wood and the other resources that we collect, do we know what the conversion rate is? Are you zeroing in on that at all?
We're having conversations about it, but it really just comes down to how fast and how far we want to break our economy, right? So we're having a lot of discussions around, okay, if a user comes in with 1 million wood, what do we do?
Hmm.
Um, so it's narrowing that down. We're trying to be fair to the users. We're trying to be fair to those who really did grind for, especially the rare resources. Um, all while again, it comes back to I still want them to experience this game.
Yep. Okay.
So there's a number there, but it's still very much in flux as we start playing it. And honestly, what's going to happen is in a couple weeks, the alphas are going to notice that their account just has a ton of resources in it, and we'll see how that works out there, and then we'll adjust that number from there.
I guess one way to deal with that is to have um, resources required in builds that are not from Odyssey. So
Yeah,
obviously in the playtest, there are a lot more than 6 different
there are.
resources available. So those could be upscaled or upweighted to help offset some of that. So some of the grind of collecting timber and those kinds of things could be removed for the Odyssey players, but they still have the challenges of collecting some of the rarer things to do their
Right,
crafting.
the cubes and the yeah. So that's sort of what we're doing, but also like it comes back to an Odyssey player. We want them to feel powerful right off the bat, right? They
Yep.
have basically been playing the precursor for 2 years, so we want to give them something. We don't want to upweight the new stuff so much that they're back to square one essentially. So it's a balance. And like I said, what's going to happen is in the alpha test, we're just going to throw a couple different numbers at you guys and kind of see how it works. When crafting is in and when some of the swap mechanics, in-game swap, not Web3 swap, are in, then we'll start to see kind of how that feels. So
Okay.
I'm probably saying we're probably three or four iterations from nailing down an exact answer, but the community is going to be a part of that answer.
Okay. So also our Vox within Odyssey have a level as well. So not just the resources, but the Vox themselves have a level, and that level is separate to their rarity level.
Yes.
So the team are looking at what to do with that as well?
Yeah, we're honestly trying to get to I want to get to a point where we just bring that level directly over. And I would say we're close to that, but obviously we have to play with that again in the alpha test and just sort of see if that makes sense or if we need to take a percentage of it. It's very TBD.
Yep. Okay.
So
But again,
to
it all comes from the community needs to tell us, and we need to give that feature to the community before they can tell us.
to reiterate on that, at this juncture, it's not going to matter if you have the floor price TWDE Vox or an ancient, 101 Vox in the game, but your Vox level might matter in Odyssey.
Your box level will definitely matter, um, because as you guys have seen, if you're in the alpha test, there is a power curve to your Vox level. Um, but rarity as of right now is not an impact.
Okay.
Right on.
So what's next for the playtest? What's the things that the playtesters will most likely see up next?
A ton of bug fixes. That's a big one. Cleaning up how you get Vox onto land. That was a neat experiment that sort of went wrong. Um, kind of had to explain how to do it the first day, which is never a good thing for a feature. So simplified that down. But the big thing is crafting, right? I want to get crafting in. I want to get it in your hands. I want to see what you guys think about it because it may have some of the same problems, right? We're an ambitious team, and our UX artist is awesome and has a lot of really great ideas. So we kind of want to just let that show a little bit, and maybe you like it, maybe you won't. We'll see.
Do do we dare ask when? When can we expect
Uh,
an update
Um,
on the Alpha app?
So
pre-alpha.
Pre-alpha.
pre 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 alpha. So initial thoughts are you guys will have an update with a ton of bug fixes soon, like probably end of this week, and then you'll have crafting in probably the next week.
Okay, that's a really great fast
We'll probably
turnaround.
two-phase that. This one took a little bit longer because we were collecting feedback, and every day we kind of found something new. So,
Right.
but
And
expect
people
kind of that weekly cadence.
people have to understand this is the foundation that's being built on the back end, and
Yeah,
it's very important to get this feedback before you progress to the next level, and then the
exactly.
next level after that. And as things move along, you might notice the cadence pick up a bit here and
Yeah,
there until we might hit more road bumps. That's all part of it. So
yeah,
in order to make a really great game, this is the way we do it.
yeah. I have to tell people, especially when I'm signing them up for the alpha, this is not the game that you're seeing. This is the game within the game. This is the foundations. This is the economy. This is that piece that we had to do to get the game on board. So you're really in the fundamental development cycle, and your feedback is treated that way. You're treated as if you are a QA member.
Awesome. So this is one of the reasons why I think the pre-alpha is so important. It actually shows the community how long it can take to make things and or the quality of the work that's being done and how fast the iterations are being made.
Say that again.
And yeah, in to be fair, SpaceX did land both stages of the Starship on the fourth try.
Fourth try.
Jeff, we're not talking about spaceships. We're talking about Vox. So what I said is, I think it's really good stuck that the alpha has been opened up to people because they can see the progression of the game. They can see how long games can take to make, all the complexities and issues that we start to hit and discover, the bug fixing, all the process that has to be gone through, even though we don't see all of it, of course. But we can certainly start to appreciate what's involved in making the game and how fast you can actually iterate on that game.
Yeah, it's always a risk, right? It's always a risk opening people up to early development, um, because like honestly, I was concerned like, hey, uh, right now all this game is watching an ant farm. That's all it is right now. And there's a little bit of interaction, but not a ton. You kind of let your guys do their thing. And that was a there was a moment where we were like, should we actually do this? But the feedback and the support that we've gotten has been so great. So appreciative of everyone who's joined the alpha, and there's still space, guys. DM me, everyone. I don't care. All I need to know is if you have an iOS or an Android phone and what the email is that's attached to that account. That's it. And you'll get in. And you'll get a cool Discord role too. So
Okay, I want to move on a little bit from the playtest.
Wait. Can we back up there and say that again? I wasn't quite sure what you said in that.
so everyone just DM me if you want a way to get into the alpha. Was that
Okay,
the part?
I guess so. I guess I missed that part. That's my bad. Carry on.
Yeah. Just DM me. Seriously. I just need to know iOS or Android and what the email address is. And I'll get you on it. I don't care if you own a Vox. I don't care if you own anything of ours. If you're brand new to the Discord server, DM me.
Okay, so what I wanted to move on to was the Vox boxes. So we've had the first Vox box for May Mayhem. Now, my understanding is that that is now being closed or sold out. Is that correct?
Yes, that has been closed. Um, it was a cool thing. I know there was a lot of well, not a lot. There was a little bit of hate towards it. Um, but we really want to get our resources and stuff out. We wanted to get it in the hands of people, so that way in the next phase, when I start hooking up Gala wallets, there's actually something for us to look at, and something for us to play with. If we don't have those NFTs, I can't get them from the wallet. So it's building the test bed.
And,
So
and the
we appreciate
people,
everyone who bought it, and it's been great.
and not to interrupt, I know what you're going at here, Tofu, but people have to understand that the OG Vox are going to be OG and OP
Yeah.
forever. But do you want a game with only 10 or 20 or 30,000 people, or do you want a game with 1 million daily players? So you see, this kind of has to be done to bring in new people still and get them to know what Vox is.
Yeah, and
So,
and we want to do it in a way that's not the 8,888 series. I think we have grown up from there. Um, we really want to see more things like skins. If you're used to gaming, costumes for Vox, that sort of thing. But we really want the Protovox to be kind of the new way forward and keep the old Vox, the OGs, right? We want to pay respects to them. As Jeffy said, they're always going to be overpowered. They're always going to be kind of the ones we take care of and the ones we love. But we do need more players, right? 35,000 is not that much in the mobile space. That's a very that's not a great game if you only have 35K users.
Jeff, that wasn't the direction that I was going, but it is a question that I did have for later on. Now,
But
stuck.
your question was that we're supposed to have a box like every month, I think.
That's the question I'm about to
Right.
ask, Jeff.
That
You're one step ahead at the moment.
well, that's
So,
exactly where I thought it was headed. I'm gonna
so
ask why Tofu is such a noob.
we'll get to that too, Jeff. So Stuck Pixel, what I wanted to talk about was in the town hall, there was mention of a monthly Vox box. So I'm wondering if there will be one coming out for July, or is that because one thing I was also thinking is perhaps you could add resources into that Vox box as well. I don't know if
Oh,
that's
resources are coming. Don't worry about that. And special resources, things that
yes.
you can get, only your rare stuff, your aluminum, your ISO cubes. Um, July box is a little up in the air. Um, it may turn into a more Gala wide box. It may do something different. Our plan is to release cool content and not necessarily like a $99 box every month. Like when we have cool content, we will release it out.
Okay.
We're not looking at this as like a consistent revenue stream. That's been kind of the complaint the past month, and that's not the goal. The goal is to release cool stuff. So July up in the air.
Okay.
Now, that makes me want to ask about some of us that might have the really rare ancient items in Odyssey from the past. Do you have any plans for what those might do yet, or is that something that we want to hold on to and see what comes in the future?
Kicking that around a little bit. My preference, and this is outside of discussions with the team, so take that for what it is. My preference is that they are a multiplier on top of our resources. Basically, they give kind of the same random roll chance that you get when you're mining in game currently, but at a higher value. So like that would turn into, say, an ancient dragon egg would turn into 200 dark iso cubes or something like that. But that's kind of my preference because we don't really have rarity on resources. That was an Odyssey thing that we didn't bring over, but we'll figure out something to do with them.
Hang on, there are rarity for resources because we have common and uncommon resources.
Yeah, yeah, but there's no, like, what I mean is that there's no rare wood, right? We have uncommon resources, we have common resources, but wood is always common. Where Odyssey kind of had the concept of like rare wood.
Okay.
Right, like in the Walking Dead Empires game, you've got regular wood and hardwood, and you've got regular stone and hard stone.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that in Cerberus.
No, we have some specialty resources, and that's as far as that goes.
Yeah, we do.
That
We
have
do have
special.
special types of wood.
Yes, we have heartwood, heart with a T.
Yes.
Um, but that has a special use in crafting. It's not just a resource that you spend, so it's a little different. So we'll figure out what to do with the ancient kind of craftables that we would call them, and the rare craftables and legendary craftables. The legendary items, like say the jar of pickles, those might become placeable objects where you would put them in your house, in your shop, and they would provide buffs. But that's we're a little ways away from that, from really nailing that down.
So just talking about the resources for a second.
Mhm.
So there are two uses that I can see for resources. One is obviously building things,
Mhm.
and then the other is crafting things. So we have like the blueprints, and we have um, the effectively, I guess it's combining them to make something else, or even maybe repair things. So are those resources going to apply to both uses, or will one certain type of resource be only allowed to be building things, and the other type of resource will only be allowed to craft things?
They will be used for both.
Okay,
There's actually a third way to use resources as well that we probably haven't talked about too much, and
which is
that is part of the lore. So as you guys have known, you've seen the videos, right? The Vox have landed on this planet. They need to colonize it. That's the core principle of kind of what we originally pitched as Voxverse. Well, that's still the case. And to build the city, we have to get resources into it. So every player has the option to contribute resources towards building something in the city.
for the communal good.
Yes,
Okay,
with benefits and bonuses, of course.
so
Can you tell us what kind of spaceship they used to land on the planet?
A square one.
of course.
I shouldn't say square. We're in a three-dimensional world. A cube one. A CubeX Z35.
Well,
So
there you go. There's a leak.
my understanding of the law is that they discovered Earth and not a planet, which led me to ask, where are all the humans in Voxverse?
They discovered Earth, huh? I don't think that was ever. Earth looks a little square, huh?
I'm going to go have to check all of that.
I don't think that was. That was. That's the reality, but I believe they passed on Earth. If you go back and watch the videos,
I'm going to rewatch those videos.
you should. They're good. They're still good quality, and there's still a lot of things that we're bringing over. I know people like to say that we abandoned that idea. We just modified it a little.
Sorry, what was the idea? I just missed that. I was typing in my to-do list.
Oh, I was just saying a lot of people like to say that we abandoned the old Voxverse stuff, but not everything. The lore is still very much alive. Oh, and
Okay.
the promises, of course.
Yeah, that's what I continue to tell people is that nothing has changed for any past promises made, and
Nope.
it creates a really tough job for the current team, but y'all are respecting that and figuring out ways to fit it in and continue on that lore. So that's probably making your job like 200 times harder, but
You know,
something that
I
probably needs to be done.
I take the positive approach, right? I tend to be the positive one on the team. Um, the things that we promised are things that should happen naturally. A lot of them. Some of them are a little ridiculous, like some of the chicken things, but for the most part, like one of our big promises is that every box is playable. Well, that's great. Like that should have happened. That shouldn't even have to be a promise. That should be expected. So I tend to take the positive approach on that.
Jeff, I actually find that when doing design work, it's actually good to have some constraints or limitations because it actually gets you to create a bit more, think more creatively to help solve those problems. So sometimes a blank bit of paper is actually really hard to start from, whereas having constraints and limitations can actually work better. Stuck? You're not going to jump in on that one?
I, there's not much to say there. Honestly, I agree 100%. The the thing that you need, you need guide rails. Everyone needs guide rails somewhere. Otherwise, you'll be building and inventing forever, right? Thomas Edison shouldn't have stopped at the light bulb, but there was a guide rail, there was a need. So, yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay. I just want to ask about the May Mayhem rewards. I'm going to hand this one over to Jeff. Oh, if he's there. I'm assuming Jeff isn't there, so I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah.
It was in regards to the Protovox rewards for Legends Reborn and for the GG Tower game.
So the NFT DD rewards, there seems to be some kind of mistake with the airdrop. We're sending it out again. Legends Reborn is coming soon. It's just it's a thing on my backlog a bit. It happens, but it won't be as bad as the Christmas rewards. So it'll come out soon.
Okay. I'm just going to jump back a little bit to design issues because I have a question in this regard. So I'm assuming it was the Vox team that came up with the idea of Lucy. Lucy is the border collie that is cross game, so it works in Common Ground World and Voxverse. Why would the team choose to make a four-legged animal that breaks all the rules that they just spent months fixing?
So a little bit of point of clarity there. Um, we did not come up with Lucy. That was a Townstar design, or sorry, Common Ground design first. That we then started talking as two teams, to kind of figure out some interoperability. Right? We
Okay,
came in and said, "Hey, that looks really cool. What if we were to use it in our game too?" And the whole thing came out. So we didn't choose to have a four-legged a quadruped, but we're kind of happy to test it out, and it could be really interesting for pets or for something else.
okay, okay. No, that's good
Yeah.
to know. So I guess speaking of Lucy, has there any been thoughts? Because you mentioned two possible solutions for her. One could be a pet in Voxverse. The other could, though, have been a Protovox.
Yep. Still no decision on one way or the other.
Okay,
Pets is obviously another game system which we want to build anyway. Where Lucy as a Protovox has its own challenges with being the only quadruped. So it's six and one, half dozen the other.
okay. So no decisions either on cyborg
No
chickens at
decision
this
yet.
point?
No decision.
No.
I
Okay.
I just want to give my support for it being an actual pet, even though it's extra work, because that opens up a lot of things. And you could add in like cats for tofu. You could add in,
Yeah.
people have pet goats, pet pigs. And I know it's not a farming game, but everybody likes companion animals and pets. And that would just
Absolutely.
add to the cozy factor and the cuteness of it.
I mean, I was a Lineage 2 player forever. If anyone remembers that MMO, and one of my favorite things is that I had a pet buffalo. So yeah.
Dude, we had 8 baby buffaloes born here in the park in the past 8 weeks.
Oh, that's adorable.
A pet hawk wolf. Um, maybe that would be a biped though. Well, would it? Would it change forms? Now you're talking about like werewolves. So it could change from a hawk into a wolf depending on the time of day. That's
That just
interesting.
sounds like a pet druid, and I don't want to go get into that. It's a little too D&D.
Okay. So I'll be right back.
You are cutting out on us, Mr. Tofu.
Yeah, we'll have to take
Yeah,
a take a
that
short
no,
one and
no, that's because I was uploading a photo which I've just added to
oh,
chat.
Uh, that's
So
ooh,
that's what
yes.
happens when you use apples.
no,
Ah,
this is internet, not Apple. But anyway, what I wanted to ask about is I've been looking at the alpha in a bit more detail. I've put a
yeah.
number of posts on chat in Twitter as well, and there are certain landmarks, shall we say, within the top side of the cube on the game. I'm wondering
Found
if
all of them too. I think there
I'm,
might be one in the north. In
I was
the
wondering
north.
if they will have any significance in the future.
Oh, very much so. Uh, we have a concept of mini games, right? So uh, those will be the main sites for our mini games.
Awesome. Now there's a
Uh,
link.
yeah, I don't know if I should tell you guys that, but at this point, it's all good. I'm leaking everything because you guys have the game in your hands. You know what it is. And if you don't have the game in your hands, why don't you have the game in your hands? Just ask me. But yeah, so that's that. Those are sites for mini games. Also, like sites for exploration. There's all sorts of things that we're wanting to do with those. We call them the wonders, and
I think a couple of them look like spaceship launch pads.
I don't think so. You might want to zoom in a little bit closer there. I don't think those are regulation for spaceships.
Okay, what I did want to ask about is going back to the town hall, and we can clearly see that we have the ability to build interiors in buildings.
Yeah.
I'm wondering is
Oh,
in the bigger world that we saw, so the four quadrant city, will our Vox be able to go into every building, every room?
will every Vox be able to go into every building? Every so yes. We are building them. We are building them in the most accessible way possible to use standard engineering terms.
Okay, so obviously if we choose to
That
follow a particular Vox and then it goes into a building, it will then go to the interior view rather than the exterior view.
yes,
Got it. Awesome. And do we get to decorate every building in every room in every building?
every room in every building that you own.
Got it. And I understand the difference that you're making there as well. Okay.
Yeah, I I'm pushing really hard for let's call them social experiences in that world, in that
Okay.
part of the.
Yeah, I do like to have the idea of having a common area that we will be able to see other players. I know parts of the game called Pixels allows you to do that, so you can actually see other players in there, which can obviously lead to some social interactions depending on how the game direction is going.
Yeah. Okay. So being able to see other players inside rooms, that is there's some interesting technology things that we need to be able to overcome before we see that. Um, that's a more heavy MMO mechanic,
Yep.
and mobile does not. That's not usually a thing that you see on mobile.
Okay.
We want to do something like that, but we don't want it to become a bandwidth hog, right? I want this game to feel good for the person who has unlimited data and the person who has $100 a month data, right?
Okay.
So it's a balance.
So I will be interested to know about the social mechanics that will be introduced at various points.
It's
Yeah. Okay. I've got a few questions. Actually, I'm going to ask this one first. Um, Vox and AI personalities. So that could be part of a social aspect, but I'm wondering. I know we've talked about AI before, but I did
Mhm.
see in the roadmap that it is mentioned as a future thing.
Personalities and growth, absolutely. Uh, as an engineer of a certain age, I absolutely hate AI and everything that it's done to our culture and industry. It's a hack. It's not real. It's not AI. But having an actual system where Vox can develop and grow based on the things that they do is very intriguing to me, and I really want to see it happen. It is a little bit down the road, um, but yeah, don't expect it to be driven off some LLM because that's just not my style.
No, it is version 3 for people listening at home. It is version 3 on the roadmap, so it is quite a way off. We're at version zero point 0.5 at the moment.
I'll tell you the truth. Major wrote this without talking to me because I wouldn't have AI behaviors anywhere near that that phrase. I wouldn't have AI. I'd have behaviors, but there's a whole nother method for that that people have clearly forgotten. Mind
Okay,
mapping.
because I guess what I was thinking for AI behaviors is effectively you can assign personality traits a bit like The Sims. So you might be able to say, this person is allergic to bee stings, so they won't want to go outdoors very often, for example. However, that could also be you could select that particular Vox and then tell it it also likes to go for runs. So it's then causing a conflict for the AI, and then the AI could work out how it deals with this conflict it now has. So you set scenarios up effectively as a play mechanic.
The idea of selecting traits is fascinating. Um, that leads to a whole nother interesting world that you're probably not even thinking about, which is the Web3 perspective of basically being able to mint a Vox with some awful traits like afraid to go outside, but also doesn't want to be inside.
Yep. Could you speak up a
Uh,
bit more, Pixel? Sorry.
oh yeah, sorry, my
There
mic
you go.
got away from me. Um, so the minting perspective of that is fascinating to me. But we haven't really talked about it. It's version 3. Version 3 is so far out of my purview at the moment. That's for things for uh, Major and uh, Blickstev to talk about.
Okay, because I know like games like Project Zomboid and RimWorld, you obviously have attributes positive and negative
Yeah,
for each of the characters, and I think that's an obvious thing that we could add to our Vox and Protovox.
yeah, that comes from old tabletop games where you would select, say, two positive traits, and then you'd have to take a negative trait. Um, it's definitely a standard trope. It's something that we're gonna look at eventually. It's just not. That's so far. I want to get crafting out. Where,
Fair
you know, that's where my mind is.
Okay. I'm going to jump over crafting and go into land upgrading.
Yeah,
So
another
we
great
have
topic.
we have some community questions that I'm going to start asking, and one of them from Poop is: Will land upgrading be available right away? So I assume right away means with the first public release of Voxverse.
I mean, with any luck, the the release after next of the alpha test will have it. So yes, I I wanted an alpha first, which means that yes, so the public release will have it absolutely.
Okay, but
But I
anything that we do in the alpha test, I'm assuming will not stay around. Any resources, any upgrades that we do, we will
that's
start
not
from.
that's not necessarily true.
Oh,
We're trying to figure out because here's the thing: a lot of people have invested a lot of time basically being community QA for us. I don't necessarily want to destroy your data and have you restart. So it may not be like you get everything, but you definitely won't get nothing. It
okay.
just kind of depends on where it all falls. Like if somebody rolls out of the alpha with 10 million wood because they've been sitting there clicking the button exactly every 6 hours, like we got to do something. But um, our expectations are is that you guys will keep most, if not all, of what you've earned.
Okay, so the first challenge with that is obviously we're not linking it to our Gala account, but we are using the phone game account. So for example, when I log on to my phone, it says that I'm logged in to play
Uh,
the game as Tofu. So it knows who I am, even though it's not linked to my Gala account.
it knows of your iOS and or Android account. The cool thing about the way that we're building this is that it's Web3 optional, not Web3 required or Web2 required. So when you connect to your Gal account, your resources will be minted slash collected into your Gal inventory. When you're not, they won't. So it's an interesting style. It's really we call it Web 2.5 for comedic reasons.
Okay. So we have a question from Violet, who's in chat. Hey, Vi. What are a few things that we will be able to craft?
Oh, I don't want to give that up just yet.
Sure. Jeff says probably not submarines or spaceships.
Yeah, no submarines, no spaceships as of right now. But I don't want to give that much away. I want the alpha testers to see it first and experience it before we start talking about it.
Okay, so there was a leak that you provided, which is in the crafting space. And again, I posted this on Twitter, and it was two robots in the crafting room with
Yeah.
four 3D printers
Mhm.
and what looks like a blueprint and robot parts on the center table. So it seems like we can actually build other robots or protovox. You don't have to answer that. That's just my
Oh,
observation.
actually, I will. So robots, absolutely. So this is one of the core mechanics: is that you have these protovox, which are very terrible, and they kind of do everything not great. You have these vox, who do everything pretty good, but they do everything, just like the protovox, where they go around to each resource. And then you have robots where you can build them and specialize them. So, hey, this robot is my stone cutter. This robot is my wood cutter. This robot is my oil collector. Um, and you're absolutely able to uh, build those in the crafting area. So I guess that's one thing. You can have one thing that you can craft, which is robots.
Okay, great. So we have a question here from a person called Jeff the Noob, and it's actually, will Protovox be in Vox Odyssey?
Not currently in the plans. Yeah, not currently.
Yeah, that's fine. That's to be expected.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of maybe. But it's like here's the struggle we're having with Odyssey, right? Is that our Cerberus kind of does what Odyssey is doing now, so it's a little like why support both? Why have both? We don't know what to do yet.
okay.
There's another leak for you of the struggles that I've been having at night.
See, if you leak it here, then you get your way. That's the whole plan, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If
Yep.
what I say here goes, like
Yep.
benefactor hears it and he goes, "Oh, that's the direction."
Yep. 100%.
So I'm here to announce that I'm also getting a $400,000 a month raise.
Woohoo! I'll edit that out. Um,
Well, hold on. I don't know if you should settle for that. I
That's
think
true.
maybe
What I
400K a
say
week.
goes. Uh, just joking, guys.
of course. So the next question that I have around Protovox is Protovox and souls. We have um,
Yeah.
a person called Alex who says, "Can souls be linked to a Protovox?"
No, souls are just OG Vox as of right now. That's one of the things that separate Vox from Protovox is that Vox have souls, Protovox do not.
So
Take
currently,
that whatever you mean.
currently souls provide resource buffs within Vox Odyssey.
Huh?
Will they do the same thing or other things within Voxverse?
Same thing plus more. They're basically attribute buffs. Different attribute buffs per soul. They're pretty good. So that's one of the reasons why Vox will just always be slightly better, is because they have the access to souls.
Okay. I'm wondering if there's been any decision or update on the 13th soul. Speaking of souls.
Ooh. Uh, there's been a lot of discussion around it, but not a ton of decision. No, nothing to report.
Since we're on that, I know this isn't a fun thing to talk about, but I do get asked about it pretty often. Do we have any report on progress of the collectvox.com website or the V2 chickens or the F chain versus moving things to Gala chain?
Okay, so a couple things. Collect Vox, there's nothing to report. The team is fully focused on the game, so we haven't had time to update the website. We'll probably be bringing that website into the Gala ecosystem eventually, where it'll be like vox.gala.com. But TBD on that is just it's an old property and it isn't maintained, unfortunately. Um, on the V2 contracts, they are out. We're just trying to get them into the indexer. So those should be out soon, hopefully soon. And then moving everything to Gala chain is a long way off. I mean, we're reading the ETH chain specifically so that we can keep like the Vox on ETH. I don't want to have you guys bridge over. I don't want us to have to move things over manually, do like a return and like a ETH burn and a Gala chain airdrop. I don't want to do any of that. So TBD on the plan there. But honestly, the stuff is going to stay on ETH for the time being.
Okay, thanks for answering that. I'm not sure what Violet meant on this. Uh, I think she's talking about LFG that Bitbender just started, and
Huh?
if that's got anything to do at all with Vox.
We
Are
love them.
they doing anything
That's
on that?
no. They don't work with us directly, but we love them and they're doing some really cool stuff. And I can't wait to potentially work with them on some chain stuff. But no, we are not. they're not directly a part of Vox. Vox is not moving to LFG. There's no plans there. No nothing. But we do love them.
And so far, none of the Chile team is on Vox. Is that still remaining true?
Yeah, nobody. Musashi is technically the head of Vox,
Right.
but that's it. That's the only person from the Common Ground
It just seems
Studio
like
Santiago team.
it's currently a sore point with some people. So we're kind of unique in that way that, y'all are still in house, even though it's a smaller team. I think y'all are kicking ass and like not even, well, you are taking names, but you're not that worried about it. So yeah, man, just keep doing what
Uh,
you're doing. We appreciate you.
yeah. I mean, we love it, and we have a good working relationship with the Studio Santiago guys. They've helped us a lot with setting up some infrastructure and some reporting and all the things you need to be a successful dev studio. But no one's directly working on it from there. Um, I'd love to have them. They're great. They're killing it from what I hear and what I see. But not currently.
I'm going to bring it back to Protovox again. There is a last one of my questions. Is will the Protovox skins like Alice and Gargoyle provide a buff within Voxverse?
An interesting question. It's actually one that we're mulling over because we just finished the ability to swap skins on Protovox probably 3 days ago, Friday I think, maybe Thursday. But um, but yeah, so it's an interesting question, like whether we want to apply buffs. The thing that we don't want them to do is we don't want them to be an alternative to souls, right? We don't want them to take that place. Souls are special. Souls are for Vox. The costumes slash skins are more creative, more about kind of that show off appeal like every game seems to have. But we want to be very careful about buffs that are applied because I don't want somebody to come to me and say, "Oh, if you just run the Alice skin, well, that's the same as the Trickster soul." I never want that to be the case.
Yep. Okay.
That
Just a little.
I'll return to this in my old game Entropia Universe, pre Web 3. We could craft our own really rare outfits, and we would actually have live fashion shows and strut out on the runway, and people would vote for the best outfits, and you could mix and match. You could have an overcoat with a different pair of shades and a different hat on with different shoes, and that did not. Well, shoot, I don't remember if it like buffed anything in the game for resources. Maybe it did, but I don't think so. But I mean, there's an idea. I mean, can you imagine Tofu walking out like in a wedding dress to compete with Violet?
Well, I see him more in a scuba suit, but that's just me.
Correct. I do want to ask about Alice. Is Alice a skin and a Protovox, or is it a Protovox permanently attached to that skin?
Alice is a skin that goes onto a Protovox. I believe, and I may be wrong on this, I believe we gave out a Protovox with the skin and just poorly worded it. But
Yeah.
That's kind
I,
of what I was thinking, and
I,
I've said that unofficially, and I
yeah,
was like, that's
that
just my opinion, but
I'll get clarification on that and get you something that you can update on the socials and here, Tofu. But I believe that's the case. That what happened was we ended up just giving a Protovox with the Alice skin on it, and you could reskin that Protovox,
you
but
would
keep the
you
Alice.
would still own the Alice skin as well,
Yes,
which is gonna
absolutely.
be maybe more special or something OG to have in the future.
Yes.
Okay, so we are coming up to time if anybody wants to ask any questions in chat. I do have a few more random questions. My first one is Cluck still going to be a thing, or has it been replaced by Vink now?
TBD
Okay.
or both.
Um,
Very much TBD.
okay. I have a question from Righteous J. He wants to know, is Sweat going to be in Voxverse?
Sweat. What does? I need more context there.
That's a joke for Chat and Righteous J.
Righteous J is the lead singer for City of Sound, and he's infamous for sweating like crazy on stage, and everybody in the front row pulls out rain jackets and tarps as he's shaking his hair because he just spreads sweat all over those front rows.
That's awesome.
In
That's
like
the performer.
Nova Violin is she's a professional violin player that got tired of that scene, and they all met up and made this band that's like Coldplay on steroids, and we all pick on him for his sweating, but that's just part of his persona. So
I
Love
if
it.
he ever does get his own Vox or chicken, it's got to leave like a sweat trail behind it wherever it walks.
There is a more serious question from Righteous J as well, but I thought I'd ask that one first. So he's obviously interested in some sort of tie-in or link to Vox and Gala Music. Have we got any updates on anything relating to Gala Music officially being in Voxverse? New releases and stuff is what he asks us about. So could he
So,
actually release within Gala Music as a premiere release?
I'll tell you one thing. The Vox team, we love the music team. Uh, we want all of our music for our game inside of the. We want all Gal music inside our game, and only Gal music if we can do it. Um, so what I'll say is, if you are an artist who wants to be in game, talk to your rep and talk to Gal Music, because what's going to end up happening is they are going to send us playlists, and that's who we're going to go with. Like, they have full authority on that. So, um, yeah, if you want to be a part of the game, just talk to the Gal Music guys, talk to your rep, and we will absolutely make that happen. We
Now,
already have the plans
when
for
you
a jukebox and in-game music.
when
So
you say rep, that does not mean taco. That means bug. Think Jehun.
yeah, whoever you actually like work with Gal Music, if anybody, I don't officially know how it works, but there's got to be somebody on the team that you talk to. Uh, Jaehoon is a great one to talk to. Um,
Plus, I like to pick on him because he cracks me up. And so, yeah, if you have that question, DM Think Jehun and
yeah,
ask him. He'll
because
get you in the
yeah,
right direction and get you worked out.
my my dream is that this becomes kind of what EA did for artists when it comes to games of like, give me a playlist of the top 10 songs and go nuts, or the top 10 artists who want to be game music, because not everybody does. um Please, let's work together. Like, we love Gal Music. We had a lot of fun with them in the music box.
It
So
it might be cool to get an Anderson Paak thing going because he's like super popular. And even I watched I had never heard of him before, but I watched some of his videos and I was like, wow, okay, this guy's not just using a computer and a voice analyzer. He's like really badass, man. So there's cool shit happening on both fronts, and it's great to see them working together. I really
yeah,
love that part of it, and keep doing it.
yeah, that was the first team that we reached out to when we changed directions a bit, because we've wanted an integration with music. So please talk to us, talk to Major, talk to Jaehoon. Let's make it happen.
Okay, we've hit our 60-minute limit.
Oh, we're
So,
3 over actually.
sorry?
We're 3 over actually.
Yeah, I know. Although we started late a little bit.
That's true.
So I do want to thank you for attending Stuck Pixel and Jeff, of course.
Yeah,
And if
and we actually asked some really hard questions tonight, and we appreciate you being transparent and doing your best to answer them, Stuck Pixel. We missed you last week or last
Yeah.
fortnight.
Yeah.
So good to have you back. And now we miss Major.
Yeah. Um, he'll be back.
I've got a whole lot of questions for Major I'm going to ask in the next fortnight.
Oh man, we should just do an extended episode. You should ask me, and I'll answer all the wrong ways. I'll give you all the non-PC answers because my leakometer is just done.
It sounds like Stuck Pixel might need a new song.
Ooh, a new song. I don't know many songs that have to do with squares.
No, we'll make one for you.
Oh, sweet.
Righteous J just got on.
Here you go. I'll give you
A
give
square.
me something to do with cubes and the style being third wave ska. That's your
Wait.
challenge.
What the hell is third wave ska?
Oh man. If you don't know, you don't know. Mad Caddies, Real Big Fish, a lot of bands. A lot of
You
good
have to
bands from the
forgive
90s.
you have to forgive Jeff, he's a noob.
Oh man. So that's a challenge.
That is a proven fact.
Okay, as I might end it now, so I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and talk to everyone soon. Bye.
That was a fun one, man.
I made a song for Tofu, and I'm gonna play it.
I was going to play my one, Jeff.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, let me play.
Still hearts and diamond lanes, down in the canyon breaking chains.
I'm down.
Silent workers, no complaint. Every rusted joint's the same. Shadows stretch these moonlit skies, caught the gears, no good tonight. Mighty Lord, the midnight Lord, mighty old once used to cry. Rusty gears and timber drains in a land in the middle where the river gleams. They cut the trees and dig the stone. Find men in a world unknown. Axle turning metal throne, dig that quarry, break that bone. Silent steppers of the night, bringing on with every fight. Sunrise hits their old face, monuments of steel in this lonesome place. Chopping wood and laying track, no turning from this silent way. Lusty gears and timber dreams in a land in the middle where the river gleams. They cut the trees and dig the stone. I'm in a world on. Axle turning metal wrong. That quarry break that bone. Silent specters of the night, bringing dawn with every fight. Sunrise hits their old street face, monuments of steel in this lonesome place. Chopping wood and laying track, no turning from this silent way. Rusty gears and timber dreams in a land no middle where the river gleams. They cut the trees and dig the stone. I'm in a world unknown.
There you go, Jeff. It's your turn now.
Man, I was digging that. I was playing my bass to it.
We were dancing by the sea.
AI made that entire thing, the lyrics, the singing, and the music.
In the ways
Well,
where we belong.
had a great little country bass line.
Hear the song.
Come on, Jeff, where's your one? I made one about Jeffrey the Sailor Man as well, but it didn't have a Popeye theme to it.
Ah,
In a dream that we create.
Where are you, Jeff?
Well, it's playing and recording on my YouTube. I guess y'all can't hear it though on the Discord. I'm gonna have to figure that one out.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to open up a different channel.
Yeah.
Suppose that
So, do you want to hang out a bit more, Suck Pixel, or are you done for the day?
I think I do. I think I'm down to hang out. If anyone has any other questions, you just want to chat about box stuff. I'm baby free for the moment, so.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my things, I sent you some of the private ones around what I'm going to ask Major next week or next fortnight, just to try and understand what some of those things were and if it was an Easter egg or not.
That was a fun one.
It may have been an Easter egg
It might have.
from the town hall. I don't know, and it seemed I'm the only one that ever picked it up, even though it was pretty obvious.
I mean, I will just say, any producer who has a whiteboard in camera shot is probably intentional.
Yes, exactly, and that was the thing.
He
It's like,
comes from film and video and film and TV, so you know everything in his shot was absolutely purposeful.
yep, okay, I will ponder that.
Yeah. So whether he was messing with you or it was an actual leak is something you have to decide for
Oh
yourself.
yeah, I know that. I know that. It all comes with that, and I like that kind of stuff. So that's perfectly fine either way.
Yeah. I love that you caught it though, because yeah, nobody sent me a screenshot of his whiteboard, which is a little sad.
Yeah, I've had it here for a while. I sort of obviously with all the play tests and stuff, I'd forgotten about it, but I recently resaw it and thought, nah, I need to add this in. So, because when I go through Discord every one of these AMAs to look for questions that people have asked, but I also reminds me of things as well. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So now that we're off recording, and what you were the most
Wait,
kind of
hold
hesitant to
on,
join.
hold on.
Okay.
I'm still recording. Do you want me to shut it down?
Yeah, shut it
All right. 1 second before we do, let me ask you if y'all can hear this. Do you hear Data Lake Dip playing?
No,
down.
I hear you, Jeff. That's all.
Okay, right on. I'll stop recording now so you can speak totally